Well, I've definitely learned a plethora of things since working with like a lot of things. Well, one, I now know that how to run a business, like really run a business with like a team, how to scale, and like operations. Now I know of like what it takes to be an entrepreneur truly is probably the biggest one, is like what it takes truly to be an entrepreneur. Is that's a lot more than like the gurus online propose it to be. Like it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like everything you see on social media is very is fluffy. Behind closed doors, it's chaos, but it's controlled chaos.
Welcome to another episode of the Wholesale Elite Podcast. I am Isham Hipshire, and I am not joined today by my man, Mr. Tanner Santucci. He's out handling some business today, but I am joined today, number two, second time around, Mr. Andy Rong. What's up, brother?
What's up, dude? How are you?
Man, I'm great. I am excellent. And dude, I'm so stoked to talk to you because a lot has changed.
A lot has changed since then.
Yes, sir.
I'm still 17 though.
Not for long though, right? Like there's no way.
I turn 18 on August 27th. I don't know what happens on that day. Apparently like 18 is very special. I feel very old.
18's weird, man. I mean, it really is. There's not a lot more you can do at 18. You know, you're a legal adult. It's almost like you're at the very bottom of it. You went from the top of like, you know, being young to the bottom of
yeah, now it's like resets. Now
yeah.
Damn.
But you know, something tells me you'll be fine in your 18 age. So
I'll be all right.
If we don't talk by then, happy super early birthday. We'll definitely send something your way for your 18th.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, bro, so we've got a lot to catch up on. But
sir.
I want to, I think when we last spoke, I should have looked at it before we started. You know, at the time, you were 17, you were in high school. I think you have one of the most popular videos in our cache of videos in Wholesale Elite. And I think the title is like High School Kid, you know, crushes it. And so you're about to graduate. How's life been, man?
It's been interesting. It's been a weird change. I think I'm not adjusted to the no college yet. Like so what the story was, like freshman year, I was like trying to go to college, but I didn't know where to go. And then like COVID hit sophomore year, and everyone was kind of confused on what to do. And I kind of gave up on school because everything was virtual and it felt so hard to stay on track.
Right.
It's like, how do I try drop shipping? And then that's when my entrepreneurship shit started. So that was when I was like 50-50 whether I was going to go to college or not. And then as I started progressing junior year, I started hustling a lot more and actually starting a business. Then it started becoming like 70-30. Like, okay, I think I'm not going to go to college. And then senior year, first semester. So there's 2 semesters in 1 year. And first semester, I was like 90-10. I was like 90-10 on like, am I going or not? And then second semester, Astro Blaster came in and like flipped the script. And now I'm like 100%, I'm not going. No.
How'd your parents take the news?
It was definitely not an overnight thing. Like they've been like, they're still, even now, like, you should go to college. And like, they're like, I don't want to be that person that always bashes on college, because
I get it.
There's goods and bads. Like the connections you make in college are out of this world. Like hands down out of this world, especially in like a Ivy League business school.
For sure.
I mean, dude, like getting drunk with them at 4 a.m. is a lot different and a lot deeper than shaking their hand at a networking event.
For sure.
Like it's a lot different. The connections you make at college are definitely what makes the tuition part worth it. But I wouldn't go for the education itself.
Yeah. And that's
my opinion on college.
That's you know, one of the things my wife and I were talking about is our kids and the whole college thing. And she had mentioned like, where do you like, what do you think they're going to do? And, as an entrepreneur as well, and I just couldn't sit through college, myself. I don't think that's an
Yeah.
excuse. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't need college.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was smart enough or capable enough to just sit
Yeah.
down and learn this stuff. Like, I like being hands-on and getting out there and doing things.
Same.
But, as I got older, I realized the importance of college, because at first it was just a continuation of high school with more freedom.
Yeah.
It was almost like, um, you know, oh, you're not going to college, and people look down on you.
Yeah.
I joined the military, and so, but you've got a different thing. You're the skill set that you're developing. I don't feel like it can be, it can be developed in college. Absolutely, the network,
Yeah.
that you get from it is huge. But man, I mean, what an incredible change. And so when we last spoke, we talked about your story. And guys, if you haven't watched or listened to that episode for Andy, please go back and you'll get his origin story, because Andy's cut from a different cloth. He just is. There's those guys that the typical entrepreneurs that say, I started off, I was selling jelly beans at school, and that whole thing. I was, every entrepreneur feels like for some reason they have to tell that story. Where
Yeah.
Andy's the guy who was actually doing it. He
Yeah.
actually built a business as a younger person. And I believe like you started flipping pallets, if I remember
I
correctly.
started flipping. I did everything, dude. Like I did everything. My first ever business was with my good buddy Will, and it was for the Spain trip. It was like in middle school. I think it was in 7th grade. And it was this like flight to Spain trip with the Spanish class, and it was like $2,000, and me and Will wanted to go. So we were thinking, how do we come up with this money? Because back then, to like a 7th grader, 2000 was life changing.
Sure.
So we're thinking of like, okay, well, let's do lawn mowing, because Will had like a lawnmower and like he had some experience in that. So he was my business partner, and we tried doing like lawn care services. We got a couple jobs. I think it was just the parents of the homes just trying to be nice to us. They
Right.
see like this little Asian guy, and and my friend just going knocking their door and asking to mow their lawn. Like we weren't able to make the money, but it like, I guess that was my first real taste of maybe like trying something yourself. Was that lawn care service, was mowing people's lawns.
Man. Yeah. And let's transition. So, eventually you do one thing after another. And then,
Yeah.
how did you find out about real estate again? Take me back to that segment.
So this was January of 2021. So pretty much as soon as COVID hit.
Okay.
Because COVID hit December 2019, right?
Right.
Which is crazy because that's almost 4 years ago.
Damn.
So about, I would say, almost 3 years ago, that I guess the timelines aren't matching up here, but I was like just surfing on YouTube, and the video, like some video popped up. His name was King Kong.
Kong.
Like the let's go get this money guy.
Yes, sir.
And it was so crazy to me, because I was like, because I always saw those like things on Instagram where it's like 90% of millionaires are made in real estate, and like what, so and so and so. So as a 15-year-old kid, I was like super curious about it. And in the video, he was talking about you can do it with no money down, no license, and you can do it virtually. And I was like, those are the 3 things that just hit something in my head. I was like, I got to do this. So I tried it and I failed, very obviously. I wouldn't expect anyone to just go right in and succeed.
Sure.
So a month goes by and I'm like, man, I'm hitting a brick wall. And then I see the wholesale genie. The wholesale
Yes,
genie,
sir.
Jamil Damji, on YouTube. And it's an ad about how he does 60 deals a month with like the secret wholesale strategy. And I was like, holy moly, what is this? And then I remember I got on a sales call with one of their guys. His name is Kilo Gonzalez, and I'll always appreciate Kilo because he was very nice to me. And I don't know if he knew my age at the time, but I try to act like I was an adult. I was still 15. Like, so I get on a call with him and he's like, it's $8,000. Like $8,000 is so foreign to me. I've never even felt $8,000. I know, let alone
Sure.
$1,000 in my hand. So this is sophomore year, by the way. So COVID, still virtual, everything's virtual. And I'm like, man, how do I make this money? Because I want to join this so bad. And thank God that he had they had installment plans. So it was 6 months, I think like 1,500 a month, something like
Okay.
that. I think maybe a little less than that, but so every month I had to come up with $1,200 as a 15-year-old kid.
Hmm.
How's it possible? So I asked my parents if I could work at their place, at their restaurant, as a cashier, and I'd work at the restaurant. So like you get in, do the monthly installment, and you get access to the course. So like I would be working on Astro flipping, which is the course, while I'm at work. Like I would have my computer right there, and also be like taking orders from customers and being a busser and stuff like that. So I was doing that, and it like I still didn't have enough to pay off the 1,200 a month or something like that, and I had to start this other business, and it didn't just come from nowhere. Like, well, it actually kind of did just come from nowhere. I saw another video. This was like my shiny object syndrome going on as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
I see this video about pallets, and it just kind of planted the seed in me, like selling pallets and like buying and selling pallets. Um, then one day, my dad brings me to this like fruit warehouse, a fruit distribution center, and I meet this guy. His name is Miguel. He's like kind of the warehouse manager. And as I'm going there, and I'm like in the loading dock where all the trucks are, and on the
Right.
side you see tons of pallets, like hundreds of pallets just stacked. And then I recall to that video I saw on social media of the pallets and stuff, and I asked Miguel, how much would you take for these to get these off your hand? And he's like, oh, there's usually some guy in a pickup truck that comes by every now and then, and we just give it to him. But if you'd like to take them, you can take them, no problem. I don't care. Just get them off my hands. And I was like, okay. So I make a post on Craigslist about I take a picture of the loading dock, and I'm like, who wants these pallets? I'm selling them. I don't remember how the post looked like, but it was something like that. The company was called Astro Pallets. That's what I created. It was Astro Pallets inspired by Astro flipping.
Get
And
out of here. Astro
yeah,
Palette.
Astro Pallets. Yeah, yeah, Astro Pallets. It was sick, dude. And
I love
I had
it.
a whole website and everything. And what happened was this guy from California hit me up. His name is Tony, and he was like, I need 20,000 pallets delivered to my warehouse. I'll pay, I think he said like $5, something like that, and I'll pay for shipping. Like I'll pay for the truck to go there and pick him up. I was like, oh, okay. And each truck could hold around 516 pallets for a 16-wheeler. So he'd send the truck, and then I would tell the warehouse guys like, hey, this truck is coming to pick up these pallets. Please load them up. I'll pay you guys lunch. I pay them lunch, and they load up the truck. I give the driver of the truck a loading it's called a loading bill, I think, and it's pretty much like a receipt. So like if they're at like Borders or something, they won't get questions. It's like a receipt
Okay.
of loading, I guess.
Right.
And that would be it. Like that's all I would do, and then I would just collect payment. I'd be the middleman, pretty much, like
And
almost
how
like a
old were you
broker.
at the time?
I think I was just about to turn 16.
How were you like how were you facilitating these deals? Like you were at school, I'm assuming, or did this happen during the summer?
Um, this was like I'd say end of. I'm like so lost in my timelines.
Yeah,
This
you
is
got a lot
either
going
end
on.
of sophomore year or end of junior year. I'm
Okay.
assuming probably junior year.
Okay.
So
So you're not ducking out of
no,
college or out of class and taking these calls. You're actually able to field the calls, even though you're
I would like sometimes like because like you'd have to make sure the truck arrives on time and like make sure like everything's in place. So I'd leave class. Like this was my first instance of leaving class and taking the calls. So this is the birth of I guess the hustler. So that's what I'd do is I'd call Tony, make sure the truck's on his way, the trucking company, and then I'd call Miguel and make sure, hey, the pallets are good. And then at the end of it, it ships to his warehouse and he checks it and I get paid $2,500.
Now, at the time, what was your social circle like? Were you hanging around other business-minded, savvy, I don't want to say kids, but you know what I mean, like high schoolers, dudes and girls, or did you keep to yourself? What was that like?
At the time I had a very close circle. Like obviously I had a lot of like friends, but like they weren't like doing the same thing as me. I had like 2 or 3 close friends that like kind of did the same thing, but they weren't like hitting it the same, I would say. Like one friend, his name is Zach Alabi. At the time we were both doing drop shipping and trying that out. And now he's on a different path. We're still good friends. But
Awesome.
that was, I guess, kind of a circle I had. I had one good friend that'd be my support system almost. I think that also played a huge role too, was having a friend like that can kind of keep me going.
For sure.
Yeah, and being like-minded.
So how did pallets go away and then real estate came back to the fold?
So what ended up happening was the pallets started because I couldn't pay for Astro flipping because I couldn't. So what happened was I got money for the reason to pay for it. So now that I have money, I think what happened was this was last August. Yeah, last August. I'm still not in Astro flipping. Like I had to get kicked out. I got kicked out of Astro flipping
because you couldn't pay.
I couldn't pay.
Okay.
If you look at my Facebook profile and when I joined the group, that was when I joined back. I think it was January 2022.
I see.
So August comes around, so my birthday, and my grandpa had this vacant house, and I asked him like how much he'd sell it for because I used to be in real estate. I thought I was like that guy, so I asked him like, hey, what would you sell it for? And it was like 172, something like that, 172,000, and I was like, man, that's high. So I sent it out to a couple people that I used to be friends with, or like in my network that I networked with when I was in Astro flipping. And one of them reached back out. Mostly everyone was offering like 130, 120. So like super low. I couldn't do it. And then one guy reached out. He was a dispo wholesaler. His name was Dylan. If you're watching this, long time, no talk.
Shout out Dylan.
Shout out Dylan. So he comes back with a hedge fund offer at like 195. Absurd. This is when hedge funds were like just buying like stupid.
Oh yeah.
They're still buying like stupid, but this is when they were like peak. And I'm like, wow, there's like a 17K like difference here. So we do the deal and we split 4 ways. For some reason, there was 2 other partners on the deal that I did not know about. I was like, whatever. I made money on the deal and he was my only option. So partnered up on it and made $4.5 grand. And that was my first real estate check. So that was my first ever check. And then, so 2 months later, so January after August, so January of last year. Yeah, last year. January of last year, I get back in Astro flipping and I'm like, I'm ready to rock and roll. I got some, entrepreneurship experience under my belt.
Sure.
I'm ready to rock. I get back in and I restart completely. And I'm just like, I'm going to go back to square one, week 1, day 1. And I reset my mindset. I reframe how I look at things and change my perspective on stuff, and everything changed.
What was your mindset like before you did the reset?
I thought I could do everything on my own. Like I didn't need anyone. Like I thought I could do things solo. Like I didn't need a mentor. I didn't need help externally. That was the biggest thing probably, was just being super close-minded.
So if that was your mentality, why were you even interested in joining Astro? Was it just to learn the secret method?
I think it was for the money. So like I came in, like when you go in with that mindset, it's usually not that good.
Sure.
Because When you focus on money, you lose out on relationships.
100%.
Like, so I go in and I start back up, and a couple months go by, still nothing, but I was making progress
Right.
because I was starting to focus on the right things. It took me, what's May? The 6th month?
Fifth.
5th month. So 5 months later, so 4 or 5 months later, I do my first real deal, because like without my parents' help, kind of,
Right.
because so um it was in Florida. It was in Northport, Florida, and how I find the bar, or I got it from a JV wholesaler, for an acquisition wholesaler. He brought me the deal, and it looked like a hedge fund property. Like, it looked like a property a hedge fund would buy.
Sure.
I didn't have any hedge fund buyers, so what I did was like, well, a hedge fund bought my grandpa's home.
Right.
Why don't I do research? So I do. What happens is, this is the gold nugget of this podcast, by the way, if you guys are wholesalers. You take the LLC and you search up open corporates, and you see like the registered address or principal address or registered agent on it, and you put that address in Google, and you see what companies are located at that address. For example, for this one, the LLC name was ARVM LLC, something super corporate. Like, it wasn't like I Buy Homes
Right.
Investments. It was like ARVM 5 LLC, something
Right.
super like corporate. So I look him up, and it's Amherst. Amherst, which is Main Street Renewal. They have two names. Amherst is a hedge fund, and they're very hard to get in contact with. Impossible, nearly impossible. So what you do is you search the company up on LinkedIn, and then you look at their employees list, and you look at every single person that has an acquisitions role or like intake role, because you know that person is the decision maker for properties. They're the person that underwrites properties. I would search up either underwriter, acquisition manager, acquisition specialist, intake specialist, anything like that. I found one guy, and well, like I cold emailed like everyone, cold messaged everyone. Only one guy responded, and messaged him and sent him the deal, and he was like, the price worked out, and I think I made 5 or 8 grand on it. So sold it completely virtually. Never actually, these hedge funds, I was in the school locker room while I was calling them, and that was the only time I had. It was like either that or calling for bathroom breaks. So I wouldn't, like, because every junior at the time would go out and eat out to lunch, because like everyone got to leave school for lunch.
Right.
I stayed in school, and I brought my cafeteria food, or my lunch I brought from home, to the locker room, and like there'd be these basketball players coming in, just came back from practice, and they're yelling, and they're showering literally right next to me, and I have my food on the bench. That's probably smells, and then I'm like cold calling these hedge funds in like the locker room. I'm like, hey, I'm an investor here in Tampa, and like I'm looking to connect and seeing if you're buying some deals. And I had to do what I do, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I had to make things work. So that was an era for a while. I had to do that for all my time. So that was my first deal, kind of my first deal. And then, so now summer began. This summer was probably the most influential summer ever, like craziest summer ever. I still wasn't like considered financially free. I probably had like 5,000 to my name.
Okay.
May of last year, and I was like, dude, how do I? Well, like, I was like, so, so summer, when you're in summer, you have all the time in the world. Like, you have, I mean, every day is like there's no school,
Right.
So you can kind of do whatever every day.
Right.
And I knew soon enough that once I got out of summer, that I wouldn't have any time to do anything. I would have to go back to the locker room and the bathroom breaks and have to make ends work there. So I was like, I am not doing that again. If I have to, it'd either be like high priority, or like I just couldn't do that.
Sure.
So I had to create this system, automated system for my agent outreach that would help me do deals while I was in school. So that was the intention. So I was like, how do I create something that can allow me to do deals in high school? Okay. And I built it. It took very long, but it worked for my company. So last year, August, I did 28,000 all in Florida. And
All
then,
using this system?
yes.
Okay. Now, can you explain to people that may not know what you mean by agent outreach?
So agent outreach is when, or what I did was agent outreach, and you would reach out to agents and build relationships with them and pretty much follow up with them until they produce a pocket listing. That's pretty much what agent outreach is sourcing deals from agents.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
I know
So yeah,
Jamil likes to use the analogy of, would you rather climb up a banana tree and hack down a banana every day, or would you rather set up baskets underneath the banana tree and just shake it and
yeah,
have the
that's a great
baskets do the
analogy.
work? Yeah. And so yeah,
Pretty much like the system would give me 10 of those trees with 10 baskets underneath all the time while I had my foot kicked up on on my couch. Like
yeah,
that's
and you
pretty
weren't
much
even
what this
having to
system is.
shake the tree. You had an automated machine that was
Yeah,
shaking the
pretty much.
tree.
Um, and it worked for me. I did 40,000 in September on one deal, which was
Wow.
insane, and never set foot in the home. Very insane. Um, Still
All
my
through
biggest wholesale deal.
automation.
Yeah.
That this is blowing my mind.
Yeah. So, and I was gonna continue doing that until I got a DM from Will Coggins, and he was like, dude, I think it was like, I see you're doing well with this system, and like I want to check it out. I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll show you like what I do in my business, but like I had no intentions of selling him anything. So what happened was, uh, we got on a Google Meet. We got on a Google Meet. I thought nothing of it, and I do the presentation of like, hey, this is how the system works, and like this is how I'm so efficient. And halfway through, he stops me and he's like, "How much do you want for this?" And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then he's like, "I want this like yesterday. Like I want this really bad, because it's like life. Like this will change my entire business."
For sure.
So I was like in shock because one, I never sold a software. And like two, I was lazy to set it up for him. So I was kind of avoiding it. It's like, it's a lot of work, dude. Um, so I was like, okay, well, I thought the highest price I can think of, and it was $500, which I thought was high at the time for a system. I didn't know how to price stuff.
Right.
And pretty much before I finished my line, he was like, I'll take it. And I was like, oh shit. That's cool. That's cool. So we get on and I set them up and I'm like, oh wow. They're super happy about it and they're still on it to this day, which is awesome. And I'm thinking like, so I created pretty much the shovel to the gold miners. I pretty much created my solution to my problem was actually a solution to a lot of people's problems that
For sure.
I didn't know I was solving. So I make a post in the Astro flipping community, and I'm like, I can probably pull up the post, but it's like doing a live Zoom call for my system on how I did $40,000 last month, and just presentation. And my pricing is $749.49 a month. That's the pricing then. And I do the presentation, not world class. It was not world class at all. Like John Galan had to start the presentation for me because I didn't have a Zoom account. And I think 50 people showed up, which was awesome.
Nice.
50
I
people
was one
show
of the
up.
50, by the way. I remember that.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So 50 people show up, and I think we signed up, half of them were like 28, 25 people, which is awesome. And at the time, it was like exclusive per market, and like I couldn't take it anymore, whatever. And I did like 28,000 in one day.
Oh.
I was like, oh my gosh. Well, one, I had a lot of work to do because I had
Sure.
28 accounts to set up. And two, I was just like in shock of how easy it was to do that. And yeah, I thought it was gonna be side income, by the way. I was like, oh,
Ah,
it's gonna be like, I guess another business I have. Um, and then I end up selling 25 more the next month, just like through like, I guess, organic. And man, that is so crazy. And so there's actually one important lesson I'm gonna touch in.
please.
So time goes on, and people start having success with the system, and Jamil, the head of community, my mentor, uh, starts hearing about it on the Zoom calls that he has, like the coaching calls. He's like,
Mhm.
"What are these birds chirping? What are these birds chirping about the system?" And he's like, "Man, I gotta check this out." So he tells his assistant Emily to contact me, and Emily is like, "Hey, Jamil wants a meeting with you." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like Jamil never reaches out to me like this. Like, yeah, he talks about me, but like he never like one-on-ones me. I'm like, oh shit, am I getting kicked out? Am I like, what's happening? So I get on the call with them and I'm like almost scared shitless because I don't know what's happening. Like there was no reason for the call. It's just like meeting.
Sure. Yeah, those are the scariest when you don't know why you got
You
called
don't
back into
I
the
didn't know.
office.
I didn't know what the heck was gonna happen. And and then Jamil's like, dude, uh you have to tell them what you're doing and like what's going on and like what you're selling, or like I gotta shut it down. And I was like, oh shit. So
Mm.
I kind of gave myself a minute, and then I showed him the system and I showed him what happened. And he was just so amazed. He was like, let's do a partnership. Let's lock this in. I'm gonna blow this up. I was like, wow,
What
okay.
what went through your brain when he said that?
Um After the call, I was probably jumping, I was punching the air, I I was screaming um out of excitement and out
Because
of
what did that
nervousness.
mean to you? What did it mean to you that he said that?
Um, it felt like I really accomplished something and like I really achieved something and like I actually made something and like this felt like a life-changing moment. Um, it felt surreal. It felt very surreal because like when you don't mentors don't just offer partnerships to their mentees, especially a 17-year-old kid.
For sure.
Like, why don't you partner with a big software company that does millions of dollars? Why go with me? It's because like I had something that actually worked. And like I guess he saw me as mature enough. I just turned 17, and this was this year January. And the story gets even crazier. So I signed up for the mastermind. I think it was February 19th.
Uh-huh.
So like it was like a month later. And I'm one man team, and Jamil's like, dude, get ready to like get bombarded with loads of users because I'm about to blow this up. So I'm one of the presenters on the mastermind, and I'm up there and I'm talking about productivity and whatnot, and then I switch it up on them. I'm like, actually, all the productivity hacks are bullshit. Here's what really works. And then I it's so cool. Um, I do the I do the pitch, and I'm like, yeah, so all the mastermind members get a 20% off pre-launch special, and pretty much I signed everyone in the room. Insane. I signed everyone in the room, and me and Jamil was were super synergistic, and we did it together, and it was awesome. It was best presentation ever. By the way, the new pricing now was 997, so $1,000 one time,
Nice.
and a $97 a month subscription.
Perfect.
So next day, I fly back to Houston because I have a presentation to do for Jamil. We do a webinar, and we promoted it organically. I forgot what it was called. I think it was called automated agent outreach, or like streamline your agent outreach, something like that.
Mm.
And 1,000 people show up, and do the presentation. I'm like, I get super technical, and I think Jamil kind of stops me, but I get super technical with it, and like I explain everything on how it helps me in like every little thing. And Jamil has this like really good unique ability to like just make things right and like
Sure. He really
bring
does.
things back down to earth. Um, and we end off the day with 300 new people,
Oh my gosh.
which is we did 300,000 in one day.
Oh my gosh. And how many from the mastermind?
20 something,
Oh
20, maybe
wow.
a little more, 20. So it was insane. I was like, this is out of this world. So I still had my wholesale business. And here's the lesson I'm gonna talk about. Because right now I was in a dilemma because this thing was doing a lot better than my wholesale business. So
Sure.
I was watching Alex Ramosi at the time, and shout out to Alex. I love Alex.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
and he's like, entrepreneurs like think that focusing on many things would do more when really you just need to focus on one thing.
Hmm.
And I talked with Jamil about it. I'm like, I feel guilty for leaving my wholesale business. I feel guilty about it. And he's like, don't. Let's focus on this now, and then we can build that later.
Yes.
So the important thing is for entrepreneurs is like, imagine you have 100% of your brain power. And let's say you have, for example, you think having 5 businesses will, or 5 streams of income will, so for some reason, 5x your income. Like
Right.
like thinking about it, face value, 5 businesses should equal 5 extra streams of income.
Sure.
False. The reason being is because your attention, your focus is split 5 ways now.
Right.
So now you're 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 in all businesses.
Right.
So now the results are going to produce 20, 20, 20, 20 because your focus is 20, 20, 20, 20.
Hmm.
You only have 100. You don't have, it's like the hours in your day. You only have 24 hours. You don't get 100 hours in your day. It's like we can't warp time, but like you can single out distractions and just focus on one thing and make that thing really good.
That's such an excellent point, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that have this misunderstanding that they can multitask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And multitasking, there's a lot of of stuff that's been written on it and talked about how it's just a misconception. But an old mentor of mine, I remember he used to raise up his 2 hands and he would say, "Focus on both of these." And you'd stand back and you would try to focus on, and it goes back to exactly what you said.
Yeah.
You can focus on one or the other. If you focus on both, you're not really focusing on any one.
Yeah.
You're giving
Yeah.
50% of focus to either.
50-50. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's such a good point. Now, when did you have any reservation walking away from the wholesale business at that point, or were things crystal clear?
Crystal clear as in like what I needed to do.
Correct. Moving forward.
It was almost like a leap of faith. Like I was like, well, I know for a fact that this is a bigger opportunity. It's like, why focus on this opportunity? So like I had to make the sacrifice of ditching my wholesale business, leaving it for now. And now today we're starting it back up, which is awesome. We're starting it back up. And that is only because now that I put 100% into Astro Blaster, that I have now time, the capital, the energy to do that.
Incredible.
So like well, business is a game. It's a game. It's like I don't know if you guys play those games where it's like you can buy farms and like if you put money into the farms, they would produce, but like if you put all your money into a farm, it would like grow faster. I don't know if you know those games, but like
my
I
daughter
put all my coins.
Yeah.
I put all my coins in one farm, and it like slowly built up, and now I have money and like time and capital, whatever, and now I can put that stuff towards other stuff.
Absolutely.
And then build that up faster, and then boom, boom, boom. So like, if I was 50-50, it would grow at half the rate, and like it would probably be like sucky. So it was a leap of faith. Like I just had to ditch it. Even though I felt very guilty about it, like I felt like, wow, like people think I'm like a um like I don't know, like I just felt I guess insecure about it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I had to have a wholesale business to like be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Like then I was like, well, I can just focus on one and I can make it huge. And like it happened.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So the at the time, I know when I was on the webinar, the software was not called what it was now. How did you come up with the name?
Jamil is so magical. On the partnership call, first call we had, he's like, let's name this Astro Blaster out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, that's the one. It was a little questionable at first because I was like, Astro Blaster, are you serious? Like sex toys? Like, it's like, okay, yeah, let's go with Astro Blasters.
I love it. So you went from
Yeah.
Astro flipping to, what was it, Astro crates, or what was it
Astro
called?
pallets, Astro
Astro
pallets.
ballots to Astro Blaster.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, that's actually cool. Yeah, I didn't think of that way. Yeah, pretty much. Whole life has been Astro.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
and the person who kicked you out of the course because you couldn't afford it is now your partner, and you guys are doing
Like
quite
Jamil didn't kick me out. I just like I couldn't afford it, and like I pretty much got kicked out.
well.
Like,
Right. That's
but yeah,
hilarious. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Well, let's talk about the blaster, man, because I will say this. I mean, I was a fan from the start. When I heard about what you were doing, I come from this background, marketing and systems, and I know how a lot of those automation softwares work. I'm very familiar with using them from marketing back in the day, but I'd never seen someone use it the way you were doing it. And I
mhm,
mean, your timing couldn't have been more better than with AI coming out and taking
yeah,
such a strong,
yeah.
position. Let's talk more about the software, because I want to let people know I'm not like, I don't have an affiliate link or any of that
Yeah.
stuff. I have zero interest. I just want to share with the world this thing works. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, does it works? It's brilliant. And so talk to the people a little bit about it.
So kind of how I developed it was so Jamil talks about always like agents need to be touched at least 8 to 12 times before they fruit a deal. So I was like, okay, well, if each agent takes 8 to 12 touches, uh, each time requires a follow-up, and a follow-up comes from putting their name down in a calendar, and it would take at least 5 minutes each contact to reach out to them. Like you would have, like for example, like let's say you talk to John on Friday, and you're like, hey, John's gonna send me deals, whatever, and you want to check in with him next Friday. So you have to put him down in your calendar or your CRM or whatever, and then you would have to search him up back in your CRM once Friday comes, and then you'd have to send him a message once Friday comes,
Right.
and then you'd kind of wait, and like it would just be that, and like if they responded, if they didn't respond, it would just kind of be gone. Like you wouldn't really be, unless you're super organized,
Right.
which most people aren't, because usually people that are wholesalers have probably W-2 jobs, so they usually aren't that organized. And especially for me, because like I was in high school, I could not keep track of these people. Like there
For
was
sure.
1,000 people I had to keep track of. Like I had to also do history homework and also do uh all this other stuff in school, and then all this other stuff. I just could not track that many people. So I had to build this system, this SMS follow-up system, that would pretty much follow up till they're dead, pretty much. And like nothing would ever fall through. Like so nothing, even if they didn't respond, it would always follow up with them. And like, is this something revolutionary that has never been done before? Probably not. There's probably been something out there that follows up if they don't respond. But I built it to where it's tailored, one, to real estate and agents, so super niched. It's
Right.
like, and then two, it wasn't ever built in this way to where uh, it was very personalized.
Right.
And then yeah, it was just like I built that, and it fruit me deals because it followed up with people that I even forgot about. Like I forgot about this person, but it followed up for me.
And like you said something very important about the personalization of it, because again, me as a former marketer, that's one of the things that I really learned. It just changed the human attention span
Yeah.
when people realize that there's a realness to it. It's almost
Yeah.
like when you answer the phone, you can immediately tell whether you're talking to a robot or a human. You're talking
Yeah.
to a robot, no one stays on the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you
No
get an
one.
automated response, you people are savvy. People pick up on things really quickly. And the way that you had it set up, even back in its infancy, was like, oh, this is brilliant. And so I was even thinking, man, like, I know how to do all this stuff. Like, I can go, invest in a program and build this thing out.
Yeah.
But for the price that he has it and it's already built out,
Yeah.
no brainer. And
It's kind
so,
of just like a done for you. Like, yes, it's possible for you to do it, but like for beginner intermediate people, it's so attractive because it's like everything has been built out for you, and all the testing has been done. So I tested out all the campaigns that would get the highest response rate. I tested out all the follow-ups and like what enticed follow-ups. It was like one of them was like, which was surprising. It was like, are you still a realtor? Or like, it was like, are you still a realtor? And like that would like hit their ego. They'd be like, yeah, I'm a
mm.
realtor. Yeah, I'm a realtor. What are you talking about? And like, once you respond to a message, you usually like keep responding, even if you don't like the particular person. You kind of end up just keep responding because, well, the one to I guess keep going is you have to be responsive. So like if you're fast on responding, they'll also be fast, so they'll reciprocate that.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't really like your product or service, most people they usually still talk to you, even though they're neutral. They usually would still converse, and then you'll probably change their belief about you. Like, oh, this guy's actually a really nice guy. Ishim's actually pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I saw you had. So here's what's unique. A lot of autoresponders will, I would say, they don't really automatically respond. They just, it may just be one message, and then that message sits in your inbox. Then you got to go at some point of the day and see, oh, okay, all these people got back to me. Let me go message this person back.
Yeah.
What I loved about this software, it had the entire conversation for you. It would
Yeah.
keep communicating with this person.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. I remember to this day, and it was something that we still do. We still use. You had on one of your initial messages, you would say, "Hey, this is blah blah blah," and then like 8 seconds later, whatever, you sent another text that said, "By the way, I'm a real human."
Yeah.
And we implemented that. And I remember, when I was using the blaster, I was like, that's going to hit. I just knew, I
Yeah.
knew from psychology, I was like, people are going to respond to that because no one does that,
Yeah. No one does
and
that.
sure enough. And so since then, I mean, you guys have gone gangbusters with it. There's a massive team now. You guys have really done all the research and development on what works. You guys are constantly implementing and making it
Yeah.
better and better. And it's just incredible. So my hat's off to you, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and a big change was like adding LOL to it. Like LOL like really just like gives it a personalized feel. It's like, I'm a real
Does.
person, by the way, LOL. And like, oh, haha. Like, thank you for telling me you're a real person, because I get so many spam messages, like so many automated. Well,
All the time.
actually, it was an automated message, but I am indeed a real person.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it'd be pretty funny because realtors would respond like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have known," or like, "I'm so sorry. I did. Thank you for telling me that." And then we just end up like, there's so many deals that happen just because of the follow up.
Now,
Most
how does
deals
it
do
work
not happen on first conversation.
with in this software? How does it work if they were to call you back?
Like an initial, like they would just call you straight up.
Just either an initial or just at some point they would call, the number that was texting them.
Well, usually it would ring to your phone, so you just pick up that way, and like you would
Awesome.
just answer. Like, I would hope you answer.
Right.
I mean, if a realtor calls up front like that, then likely they don't really want to text. So like you should just call them and talk to them on the phone, and then you can add them back to follow up. So then you can add them in the follow up sequence, and they'll follow up until they have a deal.
Perfect. How much tech prowess do you have to have in order to really kind of engage in this? Because I know I had a background doing this, but for the common person, is there training? Do you need to know a decent amount about tech before doing this?
Well, one, you don't need to know code, so that's very simple. It's like if you can, you don't need to be a software engineer or anything. Like you just have to be someone that's willing to sit there and understand the system. Because I'm gonna be very honest, um, there was a guy that was 80, 90 years old that came on, and like it's just very hard to communicate tech. Like when I
Sure.
say tech, it's not like something like like you have to learn AI or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
It's like very plug and play. Um, and well, you don't need a lot of technological skills.
Yeah, just basic understanding on how to use a computer, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Just
There's definitely a
how.
learning curve. Like I'm not gonna avoid the elephant in the room because there's definitely a learning curve, but that's the cost of like saving you hours and hours and hours of your business and your sanity.
Right.
Like
Right.
just front load the work, like to anything in life, not even the system. Is like just front load the work so you don't have to do it. It's automated forever. So you don't have to make these micro decisions every single day. It's like just front load the work so you don't have to think about it forever. So like I don't know if you do like meal plans or anything like that. But like maybe you set up like a factor meals or like those uh those those pre-made meals that ship.
Right.
You don't have to think about lunch. So you don't be like, oh, what am I having for lunch? It's like, well, it's in my fridge. I know I already like it because when I bought it, I picked all the things I liked.
Right.
And like it's automatically shipped every week. So like I don't have to figure out, oh, what am I gonna eat next week because it's already there. And like I don't have to make these decisions, these micro decisions all the time.
Beautiful,
It's
beautiful
very dumb.
analogy. And then there's support, right? Like if we're wanting to make a change or whatnot, there's a team that folks can contact, right?
Yeah. So we have a full customer support team on staff Monday to Friday. We're trying to get 24/7 support, which is something that is not industry standard. Like that
That's
is,
awesome.
I mean, that's yeah, 24/7.
That's incredible. Dude,
Yeah.
awesome. Talk to us a little bit. I'm curious about the AI portion, about uh, the is there an automatic communication? It's funny because I know my kids are gonna like listen to this podcast in 20 years and be like, "You sound like such a goof, Dad." like it's like someone explaining the internet, you know, back in the mid 90s. But talk
Yeah.
to us about how AI works with Astro Blaster.
So when we say AI, it's more of like AI powered.
Okay.
Like Jamil promotes it as AI and like Base promotes it as AI, but really at its core, it's just a lot of automations. And this is coming from the co-founder, like the founder of the system.
Right.
It's just a bunch of automations, and we call it AI because it feels human.
I see.
But in a couple of weeks, if not in the next 2 weeks, we'll have something conversational. So like they'll be able to like pretty much full autopilot. So like fully autopilot. And it would do all the follow-up for you. It would do all the outreach. It would do outreach to MLS listings. So like
Whoa.
it would vet them out. So like it'd ask like when was the last time the roof was replaced, or like is the home vacant at closing, is like what's going on with the seller, like
Oh my God.
mostly on text message, but it's yeah, that's something we're coming out with to make it fully AI. Right now it's AI powered, I would say.
Right.
But it's in the 2 weeks, it will be fully AI, fully autopilot.
Wow. My goodness. I was gonna ask you what the future is of Astro Blaster, but I think you just answered it. That's
Yeah, that
incredible.
is the future. We're staying on high level. So, but we're gonna stay on the platform we built off of, and we're gonna keep building and making our product exceptional and improving our customer experience and everything else in between. Um, and in 5 years, have a valuation of at least 100 million and exit there.
Well, dude, I mean, I think at this point, I didn't want this. I hope this isn't turning into like an infomercial for Astro Blaster, but I love this this software. It's incredible. Your brain, the story, how this all evolved is fantastic.
Yeah,
If I can wrap in just asking this one question, and hopefully it's not that hard of a question, but what's one or maybe two things? One is fine. What's one thing that you feel like you've really learned over the last year from when we last spoke on the podcast to now? Because you're a different person, man. I can just see it. You're different. What's one thing that you now just know of that you maybe weren't too sure of earlier?
good question. Um, well, I've definitely learned a plethora of things since working with Jamil. Like a lot of things. Well, one, I now know that how to run a business, like really run a business with like a team, how to scale, and like operations. Now I know of like what it takes to be an entrepreneur truly is probably the biggest one, is like what it takes truly to be an entrepreneur. Is that's a lot more than like the gurus online
Hmm.
propose it to be. Like it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like everything you see on social media is very is fluffy.
Hmm.
Um, behind closed doors, it's chaos, chaos, but it's controlled chaos. It's hopefully controlled chaos, which is what we
Sure.
want it to be. But behind closed doors, it's always something going on. There's no one's ever really perfect. There's always something that is happening. Something there's something always wrong. Uh, usually, if not all the time. Like if you see Alex Hormozy, he could seem perfect face value, but maybe deep down he has a lot of internal problems himself.
Sure. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, famously said, "If you're an entrepreneur, you're driving home from while your business is on fire,
Yeah,
and you're going back there the next day. Like you've got to
yeah,
get comfortable with that."
yeah. I had a conversation with my friend yesterday that the last man standing one, his name is Will, was actually the guy we did lawn mowing together, and it was kind of sad because you know he's leaving for college, but I was like, "What are your goals, man?" And he's like, "I just want to be in a comfortable place in life."
Hmm.
And now knowing what I know, I'm like, I don't think you'll ever be in a comfortable place of life. I think there like you'll think that you might like I thought $100,000 would everything would be nice at $100,000. Everything would be amazing. I thought I could go to Dubai and like do what I want at 100,000. Now I'm probably more stressed than ever. I'm probably like, but like I'm more stress tolerant, but the amount of stress I have to deal with is definitely greater than then. But like my stress tolerance is a lot higher, which is what happens when you just in the ring a lot more. You should, you know, but it's like I want to be at a comfortable place in life. Well, I told him it's just never gonna happen.
Hmm.
Like I don't think you'll ever be really comfortable in life. Maybe on your deathbed, but or maybe I'm just young and too immature to understand the concept. But now knowing what I know, I don't think there would ever be a comfortable place where you can fully relax
Hmm.
and like zero. I don't think that exists. I think
Sure.
there'll always be something nugging you. I'd be like, man, I should have done that. I should have worked out today. Or like, I could have made this extra money. Or like, I could have got that girl. I should ask that girl. Like, I don't think you'll ever be comfortable. I truly don't. I don't think you'll always be uncomfortable at a certain degree.
Man, Wise words. Wise words from a 17-year-old, almost 18-year-old. And by the time this episode airs, we're going to air this on the 28th. So I'm going to push this out the day after your birthday. So I'll say it right now. Happy birthday, bro. Happy belated 18th, because it's the 28th to everyone else. So guys, look, go hit Andy up. Wish him happy birthday. Just connect with him, follow him. His story is outstanding. Andy, where can people learn more about Astro Blaster?
So Astro Blaster, you go on theastroblaster.com. By the way, I'm not always the salesperson.
It's all good.
I always if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't,
Sure.
But check it out, worth a try. And I'm trying to grow my brand right now. It's my Instagram handle is @official_Andy_Rong. I have it on the screen right here, and I'm trying to grow the brand as much as possible. Not to sell anything, not to sell any course, not to sell any program or anything, but to be super genuine and not sell anything, and just inspire other young entrepreneurs that might have been in my position when I was 15, 16, and 17, and maybe have some nugget in my content that really changes the way they see the world, they see life, and they see business. That's what really makes me happy, is seeing success in other people that came from, at some point, me, that I somewhat was involved in their success.
You can't see it right now, but you're giving me chicken skin, dude. It's the truth. It's the reason why I started this podcast. It's purpose, right? Yeah. We're like, you're a giver, and it's obvious. And givers receive. That's how the universe works. Giving starts the receiving process.
Yeah.
And so that's incredible, man. I'm definitely, we're going to do everything we can to support.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
it. Absolutely. And your brand, guys, official Andy Rong. He is not Wrong. W-R-O-N-G. It is Wrong. R-O-N-G. A-N-D-Y-R-O-N-G. Yes, official.
I always say it's Andy Wrong without the W.
There you go. That makes sense. And that's simple.
Andy
is it A-N-D-I or why?
I always have to spell it out for them. They never really get it right. No one says.
You think your name would be pretty simple,
Yeah.
4 letters. Andy. 4
dude,
letters.
You'd be surprised, dude. People are stupid.
Shout out to the stupid people out there. Official Andy Wrong. I'm gonna have it in the show notes. We're definitely gonna link up to everything that can get you guys connected to Andy and Astro Blaster. Andy, thank you so much for your time, man. Dude, it was an honor and a pleasure getting you back on here again. I cannot wait for the next time to talk to you. It's gonna be unreal.
It'll be insane. It'll be insane.
Oh my gosh. Are you still in the same room? The room looks completely different.
Oh no. So this is so remember I talked about the restaurant,
right?
Where I worked. So there's a storage room in the restaurant that has a door to the outside. That was a storage room, and there was a bunch of boxes here at one point, and it was not air conditioned. And I asked my mom if I could use that as office space. So we moved everything out of the room to another room, and tore up the floors, put epoxy on the floors, so now it's glossy black, which is pretty cool. Painted the walls, added air conditioner, and we furnished the whole place, and now we have an office.
That's sick. I gotta make my way to Houston to come check it out and visit.
Dude, yeah, hell yeah, free rent here.
That's awesome.
That's the best part, because it's 380 square foot. I got a little bar area for my coffee, a coffee bar, and couch and everything. It's nice.
You're living the dream, brother. You're living the dream. Well, Andy, again, it was good chat with you, man. I cannot wait to talk to you again. And guys, look, I say this at the end of every episode, and I mean this. I want you to go out there and crush it. Go out there and make it happen. Get rid of all the excuses. Just put one foot in front of the other, for real. That's really all it takes. I think it was Martin Luther who said, you don't have to see the whole stairwell. You just have to see the step in front of you. That really is all it takes. Keep doing it, one thing after another, and you'll start to see the universe will conspire for your own good. And then I will have you on this podcast so we can have you tell your story and inspire someone else. So guys, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
What up, Elite fan? That's a wrap for today's episode. But look, if you got value out of the show today, do us a huge favor and give us a review or give us a like or subscribe. Do all the things to help us get the word out there. And look, we want to see you on the next show. So get out there and crush it, make it happen. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.